Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku, or Magical Girl Raising Project, episode 6. And this was a massive freaking episode. This was like one of the biggest in the series so far. Like, there was a lot of crazy stuff. We got a lot of deaths. Lots of stuff going down, and sorry if I seem uncomfortable at any point during this review. It's just really, really freaking hot where I'm recording right now. But we start off the actual episode, just going in order of the episode, with this chick Makoto bringing food to this homeless guy, and you can tell from her voice that she's Magicaloid, and I'm like, oh, that's a cute little scene with her just feeding the homeless guy and everything, and he's like, you want to marry me or whatever, and I was like, oh, that's such a creepy turn. She's like a middle schooler. Just a very, very creepy turn. But we find out that she's staying with a friend and using her phone to play, and then she gets chosen as the magical girl, Magicaloid 44. So then we see Cranberry still going after La Pucelle. We get the fight between them, and the fight was really, really awesome. And I even put in my notes, I was like, this fight is awesome, but it's not really doing much for me, because I am expecting La Pucelle to die, but I'm not expecting her to die yet. She has to die when she's trying to save Koyuki. It has to be when Koyuki is around and everything. And never, never have I been so wrong. So that was completely unexpected for me. I almost think it probably would have worked a little bit better if La Pucelle had died in front of Koyuki. So there are some things that I don't like about it, but I'm also very, very happy because as I watched it go on, I was like, you know what, I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope that Cranberry actually kills her here. And that's terrible to think, like I want this main character to die. But honestly, I wasn't the biggest fan of La Pucelle, and I really do think Cranberry is badass. So Cranberry is even more badass that she just beat La Pucelle's face in and then threw the body out into traffic to make it look like an accident. Oh my gosh, it's just so freaking savage. I love Cranberry so much. Completely savage. And I think, the craziest, maybe my favorite part of the fight was that one scene where Cranberry just, kicks her face into the wall or whatever, and it's just, a blood stain on the wall, and, her face is all bloody. That was just the coolest part of the, fight to me. I don't know, it's just so crazy. The beatdown was, I really, really like that fight looking back on it, and it just makes me like Cranberry so much more just because, just a freaking badass. Also, the La Pucelle fight, the La Pucelle flashbacks, I don't know if they were supposed to make us feelsy or anything, but I thought they were funny. I almost thought they were comedic relief because I didn't think La Pucelle was actually going to die here. So, yeah, I actually thought they were really funny flashbacks. But, yeah, I guess maybe they were supposed to be feelsy because then when we have the weekly announcements, only Snow White and Cranberry are there. And we find out that they are adding items to, they're like an invisibility cloak, a weapon of your choice between 5 different weapons, some sort of medicine that lets you have more energy or something like that. And, yeah, and then they say, oh yeah, by the way, La Pucelle was hit by a car, so nobody has to be eliminated this week. Then we have the middle of the episode cards. We have Magicaloid, whose real name is Ando Makoto, and she is a calculating realist, and I was like, oh yeah, cutie, add in some heart eye emoticons here, some emojis here. So yeah, I really, really liked Ando Makoto's design, and I loved, and you guys know I say every week, I want to see more of them as their real life selves, so I loved seeing this, just the little bit we got there, though I am a bit tired of seeing them a little bit in real life, and then just killing them straight off. I wish it was a better balance between the real-life counterparts. And that's a thing as a whole. I'm enjoying the show and think the show is darn near perfect for what it is, but I feel like I would like it so much more if it was more balanced between the real-life counterparts versions and the actual Magical Girl versions. So while I love it, I do think it would be a whole world of better if it was done differently. Then the second card was Hardgore Alice, whose ability is regen, pretty much, and she lives with her aunt and loves stuffed bunnies. And you guys know, I think recently somebody asked me in the comments, it may have even been on a Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku video, somebody had asked what my favorite powers are, and I was like, well, I gotta say regeneration's probably my favorite power, because no other power matters if you're bound by death. So, again, and Also, kind of Hardgore Alice, her power is kind of cheating. We're in like a death match sort of thing, so regeneration or being able to heal from any wound is pretty much cheating. But then when Cranberry's talking to Fav, all I could think was like, Cranberry is savage as fuck. Fav also had some mysterious objectives, and I can't tell. I think maybe he's trying to make the strongest hero or make Cranberry into the strongest hero, or something like that. And he has a contract and works for Cranberry apparently, and it just feels like, I know you guys didn't like when people compared it to Madoka Magica, but that is very, very similar to Madoka Magica, and again, I loved it, but I do think they should try to make Fav as different from Kyubey, like make him nothing like Kyubey whatsoever, because Kyubey is one of those characters that you can't really duplicate it. You cannot, I'm not sure you can do a character like that as well as that. So I think you need to try to do a different sort of character. So yeah, I'm not saying Fav is too much like Kyubey. I'm saying try to keep him away from that, you know? But then Fav tells Koyuki about Lapicel being killed and lets out that the items cost your lifespan. But when she goes to buy one, all the items are already bought, which is good, because I was like, don't waste your lifespan on an item, you idiot. Like, that's a terrible deal. I hate that. Like, for the, like in Death Note, where they were like, oh, you can sacrifice half your lifespan for, like, the Shinigami eyes or whatever. I'm like, don't do that shit. That is not worth it. Do not do that. Yeah, I hate stuff like that where people just sacrifice part of their lifespan. Like, I won't need 5 years down the line. Like, no, that is not worth it. But we see Alice find Snow White before cutting away. We see that the Peaky Angels sacrificed 3 years. One of them says 3 years of their lifespan. So, is it just one of their lifespan, or did they split it between them? I don't really get how it works, because if there's 16 magical rules and we're eliminating 8, those 2 were part of the 16 as 2 different entities. So in some ways they're counted as 1, and in some ways they're counted as 2. It's just really weird. But Tama actually has the spear, and Swim spent 25 years of her life to get the Cloak of Invisibility or whatever, and I'm like, okay, that is like, I think it's really cool. I've said before how I love how we have Swim making decisions and doing things like a warped morality of a little kid, and I love this because that's the sort of impulsive decision saying, I need this in order to make my plan come through. I don't care about losing 25 freaking years. Like, that's the sort of impulsiveness that you would expect from a little kid making decisions. Like, I really like that. And she actually trades the cloak for Tama's spear because she said the spear works better for me, the cloak works better for you. And then Tama actually realizes, and I love Tama bringing this up, or anyone bringing it up really, the realization of how they are prioritizing fighting over actually helping people and earning candy. Then we see that Mary spent 10 years of her life to buy the Infinite Bag, and Magicaloid, again, I'm liking how smart Magicaloid was. Like, I'm not spending any of my lifespan. That's not worth it to me. So I loved that. And then Mary orders Magicaloid, kill somebody for me to prove your loyalty. So we see Top Speed and Ripple actually being the good guys, earning the candies themselves by helping people, and neither one of them bought items either. And Top Speed added in the whole 6 months thing again, and they really focused on it and highlighted it, but they didn't explain it, of course. I'm still guessing pregnancy. That is still my number one guess. It can be something else, but that's my number one guess. So Magicaloid just comes in out of nowhere and beheads Alice. Apparently her daily weapon or whatever, or her daily item, was a special cutting wire type of thing, and then Magicaloid just gets fucked by Alice's headless body at the end of the episode, and that's where we end up. I kind of saw, like you saw in my predictions, I was predicting Magicaloid to die, and sort of a selfish way like this, so it kind of works. So yeah, so far my predictions, even though the order has been wrong and the circumstances have kind of been hit and miss, the actual ones that are dying and still alive after 4 deaths have been pretty solid. So yeah, I am assuming that Alice is just going to put her head back on her shoulders because her power is OP as hell. And it's really cheating. It's just so much cheating. And right now, I'm going to say, I can't tell who Best Girl is. Best Girl's still Nemorine, but Best Girl of the ones still alive is probably Cranberry for me. I just love how just brutal and violent Cranberry was. Cranberry's so badass, and I know that she's going to end up getting defeated as the main villain or something, but like, I almost don't want her to. I almost find myself rooting for her just because she's so interesting and cool. I love Cranberry right now. I also like Weiss a lot, Weiss Winter Prison. I find myself trying to like Top Speed and Ripple a lot, but then again, it's like I try to like them, but then I'm like, nah, there's just something about them where they feel too much like they're being pushed, like you're really supposed to like them. Whereas with the others, it feels more natural, like you naturally like them. So yeah, I find myself like hit and miss with Top Speed and Ripple. I really like Tama a lot, but I just have this feeling that Tama's going to get screwed over by the Angels or Swim Swim or something. I just have this feeling she's too nice. She's going to get screwed over like that, and I still think Nana is totally going to die. I feel like Nana has to die in order to make Weiss into a badass. Or at least more of a badass. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I could see happening in the future. And honestly, I am surprised for this episode, very, very surprised that Lapicel didn't die in front of Kuyuki. I would not have been able to predict that. And then just pretty much the episode was a freaking great murder fest. And there wasn't... Here's a problem that I have, and me and one of my friends were talking just the other day about the whole survival game anime like genre as a whole, is one of the problems with it is character development, because you always feel like, okay, pretty much all these characters are dying, it's inevitable anyway, so you don't really build proper connections with them. And that's what I feel here. Even though this was totally awesome and I was totally glued to the screen and into it, I didn't really care about any of the people dying. Like, I really liked Magicaloid, but I'm like, I don't care about her dying. And I really loved Lapicel getting killed by Cranberry, but I was like, I don't really care that much about her dying. So that's the thing. There's like, I really, really enjoy it for what it is, but there really isn't that much character development. And that's probably the only big con I have about the series right now. But it's not even just the series, it's survival games as a whole tend to have this problem. And they're doing the best they can, I feel, but it's still hard for a survival game to build that character relationship, you know? Like, even, I think, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an anime that did it well. The closest thing I could think of off the top of my head was Mirai Nikki, but even then, that was the biggest problem. The biggest problem was that the characters, you build relationships of hating them. Like, they were bad characters just objectively, so they were bad people, you know? So, I mean, it's really hard to deal with character development in an anime like this. Another thing is, with the deaths, I think, especially with the Lapicel one, they went a little too much of a, they struck too much of a middle ground line between making it artistic and stuff and making it brutal and everything like that. I think it was good on the brutality and stuff, but there were some things like the actual death that they just threw off screen that I think we should have actually seen. I don't think it should have been left mysterious. I think we should have actually seen Cranberry beat Lapicel into their human form and then throw him out into traffic. I don't think it should have been left mysterious or anything if we were going to find out a couple minutes later. I think we should have been actually shown it. And so yeah, that's the big problem there, is that if you're going to do it, I say go one way or the other. It just felt too hesitant. It felt like we're going to do this brutal death, but we're going to hesitate with it. So I think that we probably should have done a little bit better there. So overall for the episode, I think that's about it. And I don't know. At first I wanted to give it closer to a perfect score, but there's a lot of things that, even though I loved this, and even though it was a huge, huge episode for the series, there are a bunch of things I noticed that I was like, they could have done this far, far better. So with that in mind, I actually think I want to give it 9 Beatdown Murderfest out of 10. I was thinking about 9.5, but I'm just going to give it a 9 just because as much as I loved it, I would have liked a little bit more to have actually seen the Lapucelle death on screen. I think it took away a bit seeing it off screen. But other than that, it was a really, really hype episode. So anyway, I'll be back with next week's Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku episode to review it. And yeah, so if you did like the video, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of this week's episode and what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku, a ton of other stuff on the channel, so check out the channel, subscribe if you want to. Follow on Twitter if you want to as well. I'll try to keep you updated there as best I can on stuff, like when I'm posting stuff, pushing stuff back, etc. And that is it. So thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.